Hello, folks. As you can see, this is my third stream, and we're just going to go right into it, huh? Let me show off some artwork from my own upcoming graphic novel, Scumdogs, to let people gather in the chat. Okay. Here is my Extreme 90s cover. This cover I did to harken back to the 90s. I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as possible. This cover is basically the cover for my graphic novel, Scumdogs. It has pretty much all of the characters you'll see. Well, it has all the characters you'll see in my graphic novel on it. The Scumdogs is a parody book. I parody cartoons we all know and love when we were growing up. The Scumdogs themselves are supervillains out to take over the world. It's mostly a parody of cartoons you know and love when you were growing up. Let's see. The Scumdogs themselves, well, they used to be pro athletes. They used to compete in the Scumdog sports, sporting events held with superhuman monsters as the pro athletes. They're called scum dogs, because they're scum for trading in their humanity for money. So you have to transform yourself either through science or through some more esoteric means into a superhuman monster. They're led by Deathmug, who's fighting his archenemy Buick Starpoon here, the stars of my graphic novel. Deathmug is the purple guy with the metal mask, and Buick Starpoon is the guy with the pink pompadour hair. Deathmug is an arrogant dictator who wants to take over the world. He's got one hell of a jerk and stuff like that. He's based on various villains from 80s cartoons, notably the villains of G.I. Joe, the leaders of Cobra. Like Cobra Commander, he's got a metal mask, like Pintor, he's got gold on him. And he's purple like the Shredder from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You can see he's purple like the Shredder from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. While his archenemy Buick Starpoon is the leader of is part of the Space Forces, and he leads his team against the Scumdogs, and they save the world, save the universe. He's the guy with the pink pompadour hair. He's a parody of the arrogant military type of character. You know, he's an overblown military soldier who always thinks he's right and doesn't take no for an answer. He hates Buick Starpoon because both of their egos just can't stand each other. Now, him and the rest of his team, because they're G.I. Joe parodies, means they each have a military specialty. But we'll get into that in a moment. Buick Starpoon is also a parody of the space opera hero kind of character. You know, the space opera hero kind of characters like Zap Brannigan or Captain Kirk from Star Trek or Buzz Lightyear or Buck Rogers, those kinds of heroes. So he's a captain. His military special is that he's a captain in the Space Forces. Now, the rest of his team, you can see, this guy over here with the mohawk, his name is Roadhog. His military specialty is that he's an army guy and stuff like that. Let's see that here. This bald guy with a gun down here. This guy is another member of Buick Starpoon's team in the Space Forces. His military specialty is that he's a Marine, just another Marine. While this guy back here in the red uniform driving that vehicle, his name is Blast Tank. His military specialty is that he's a heavy vehicle specialist, a tanker. Now, this cover is one of 3 different variant covers you'll be able to back when my Indiegogo goes live, so look out for that. Here we have Girl Friday. If you're wondering, folks, I'm restarting my live stream for the 3rd time tonight, and I'm going to get through it. My internet was kept going down, but I think it's up now and ready. Here we're looking at Girl Friday. She's another member of the Wild Rangers. The Wild Rangers is the name of Buick Starpoon's team in the Space Forces. She was assigned to basically be his second command because while the Wild Rangers go out and save the universe from the Scumdogs, they're just highly destructive idiots that can't do anything right. They destroy everything they touch. So her superiors assigned Girl Friday. Her superiors assigned Girl Friday as Buick Starpoon's second in command, and basically she's there to babysit him, and she hates her job because she's basically no more than a babysitter. By the way, folks, hit that like button for me. It helps me fight the algorithm. So please go and hit that like button. The more people that see my content, the sooner my graphic novel will come out to you. As well as please go and share this video on Twitter and Facebook. Here we have Deathmug's henchman. Deathmug, is a parody of an 80s villain and stuff like that, which means he has henchmen who do his bidding, and like all 80s henchmen, they're total idiots. The pink guy down here is Sloppy, and the blue guy up here is Murdermouth. They're a parody of every henchman from an 80s cartoon. They're my idiots, and they're going to love them when you read about them. They can't do anything right. They destroy. They try to follow orders, but all they do is screw up. They're going to be fun as hell when you read about them. Here we have Hair Metal Doctor. Hair Metal Doctor is a mad scientist. He's a parody of a Dr. Mindbender from G.I. Joe, but he's been crossed over with a hair metal magician because that's awesome. He thinks of all the machines the scumdogs use to try and take over the world. Here we have Miss Breasty Mullins, who's basically a parody of the Baroness from G.I. Joe. But unlike the Baroness, she only joined up the scumdogs to have a fun time. Got through all of that. That looks pretty good. Now, the Hair Metal Doctor pinup and the Miss Breasty Mullins pinup will be included with other pinups in my graphic novel when you back it on Indiegogo. It's not done yet, folks. It's still coming to you because I'm working on the graphic novel every day, but when it's up on Indiegogo, go back it. And also, I'm going to get these pinups out to you on t-shirts for you to buy from Crypto Fashion as soon as I'm able to make them, okay? Now, let's exit out of these. And let's go look at Graham Hancock. Let me see about this. Let's see, I'm still streaming. Sorry about earlier and stuff. I was trying to get this stream up and make sure it's running well. Let's see if you guys hit that like button for me. Yeah, I have 2 likes. Feel free to basically leave me a few chats and we'll look at more at Graham Hancock and stuff like that. But here I was looking at Indiegogo. We'll take a quick moment. Here we're looking at Knife Hand, the graphic novel. The story. Knife Hand is a mutant ninja with the ability to generate energy blades from his hands that can cut through anything. As a boy, he was kidnapped and held for ransom, but his wealthy father refused to pay the kidnapper, so they sold him to a ninja clan. After years of brutal training, he stole the power of the Knife Hand and went AWOL, searching for his father to get revenge, but the ninja clan never stopped hunting for him, so he joined the Jawbreakers in order to use them as a gang to protect him. His disdain for his teammates is unknown to them, but as much as he hates them, he needs them, so when the rest of the team is kidnapped, it is up to Knife Hand to rescue them. Looks like a good-looking book. The story is made by Richard C. Meyer, Our Boy Zach. It's 60-plus pages. Color, and it's going to be looks pretty good. It's the Knife Hand story alone is going to be 22 pages and stuff like that. And there's a backup story called Garrison, which is going to be 26 pages. Garrison is basically what happens if G.I. Joe and Cobra have to team up to save their teammates from other terrorists. And the artwork itself in this book basically looks like Metal Gear Solid. So you have that coming to you as well. Here's this artwork for Garrison, and it looks good. Here we see them basically fighting these terrorists. Yeah, it looks good right there. There's also artwork for the pages that were not finished completely, but they all look pretty good as well. Now let's see artwork. Trying to get the artwork here to get up. Let me show you here. Now you can back this book for, well, just a moment. Let this come up here. I am still streaming, right? Yeah, that's good. You all can see me. Apparently having a few more troubles. We got this right here. Hopefully you guys can see me. I'm still streaming. This says I'm streaming. So there's that. I'm trying to get something to come up here and stuff like that. Maybe I should just look at Graham Hancock now. We looked at this, trying to get through this thing for the last few minutes. As I know, Graham Hancock is known for basically his theories on Egypt and ancient civilizations and stuff like that, but also for the fact that he's also been known into heavy using the drug ayahuasca as well as DMT to basically help you expand your mind and stuff like that. So there's that as well to consider. So if you're hearing me, I know you're pretty much listening to this and you'll enjoy it. So I pretty much am like that. I'm trying to get. I wish I already had an article up on Graham Hancock. let me get this up here. I have this right here on GrahamHancock.com. Give you a little bit on his back and story and stuff. At least what I have written, right, what is written down here. So I'll tell you about that. To be exclusively a Graham Hancock site, but a place where ideas and perspectives on the past can be put forward and discussed by other writers and researchers as well. Indeed, by anyone with something interesting to say and the ability to say it. Accordingly, I'm offering this section as the site as a form of the excellent writing and thought provoking ideas of others. I offer no set guidelines as to what is or not relevant. If you think that a piece of your own original writing would fit in well in these pages, then please submit to me for consideration. This is what they have written here on Graham Hancock and stuff. This isn't just about him. It's about his, various ideas and stuff like that, as well as other ideas people can put forward about what happened in the ancient past and stuff like that, about how, how in the past we've forgotten a great deal of information has been lost and stuff like that. So like entire civilizations forgotten. That's mostly what Graham Hancock is known for. And stuff like that. I'm trying to get this article look like that. Let's see. Lost cities of forgotten civilizations search for clues to a past unknown. What do ancient texts tell us about cataclysms and ancient prehistory? This is all basically stuff that Graham Hancock has had a hand in stuff. So there's that to consider as well. I'm trying to get this thing to come back up here over here. I'm afraid to basically try and search out any of these articles because I'm afraid it's not going to load up. I have to tell you about what I know about Graham Hancock from off the top of my head. But I know he's heavily into basically saying that our ancient civilizations were far more advanced than what we give them credit for. In fact, some of these things, like for ancient structures, were not built by who archaeologists say they were built by. They're actually, a lot of these are part of cities that have to do with ancient civilizations that are basically no more than thought of as myth nowadays. Like actually maybe an older civilization than the Egyptians basically built the Great Pyramids. In fact, Graham Hancock has basically pointed out the fact that in the original Egyptian writings, the ancient Egyptians didn't build the pyramids. Their writings basically say that they were the inheritors of a greater civilization that had given them the technology and information to build such structures. That they didn't, in fact, build the Great Pyramid themselves, but were responsible for the to the far less pyramids, the smaller ones. In fact, some of these pyramids that they built themselves have collapsed, pointing to the fact that the Great Pyramid is more or less structurally sound and that it's part of a civilization far greater than what we give them, to a civilization far greater than the Egyptian civilization that modern academics or archaeologists point to when they say who built the Great Pyramid, which is pretty much a given. If you look at some of the great structures that have been built throughout history and their ruins nowadays, you can clearly see that academia or other archaeologists point to the fact that yes, man could move stones, but there's no way they can move or basically build some of the stones that they refuse to basically acknowledge, like the Parthenon over in Europe. How there are stones that are so big that are basically the size of houses, and not just bigger than the stones that were used to build the Great Pyramid. We're talking about things that are basically the size of houses. No possible way that anyone could use any ordinary man with with ordinary labor or whether labor that they had back then, but like using logs and ropes to move these blocks. There's no way, because these blocks were far bigger than the ones used to make the pyramids or even the Great Pyramid itself. Far bigger. And if I could show you this thing, if I could get this my internet to work. If you're watching this later on, I'm sorry about having taken such trouble getting this up here, but you get the idea. Now, I know quite a bit about this stuff. I think the name of the structure I'm talking on is the Parthenon. It's a temple over in Europe and stuff like that. Is it in Greece or is it in Italy. I think it might be in Greece, but either way, I've seen the stones there. The very structure it rests on is made of these huge stones that are so huge. You never hear archaeologists talk about these stones because they know it's pretty much impossible that they were used to build that ancient man or the civilization they said they attribute for building the Great Parthenon actually was able to move them. I have to agree with that. Now with the Great Pyramid itself, you can basically, ancient humans could have possibly have moved those. They're only about the size of they're only about 7 to 8 feet tall and about 8 feet wide. On each side, they're four square blocks. They're blocks with four sides and only about that, and they're all perfectly cut. Yeah, I can buy that. You could use logs and rope to move something like that. It'd be hard, but you could do that. But there's no way these other stones that have been cut and shown that, well, academia basically has only ever shown is basically in photos or basically, oh, yes, ancient man moved these gigantic things that are the size of houses. These things were not just 8 feet or maybe 8 feet by 8 feet tall or wide. These things were about at least probably about 40 feet long and about 20 feet wide and stuff like that. You get the idea. There's no way that ordinary man could move those with logs and rope. First off, you'd need logs that would basically be enough logs to basically if you put logs like that underneath stone that big, you'd need to have gigantically huge trees. Secondly, the moment any actual weight from the stone was put on these things, even if there are a lot of these logs under the stone, they'd probably crush it instantly. You need something huge. Maybe you need logs almost as impossibly big to move this rock itself alone, basically. And this wasn't just one stone. This was several of them, each the size of houses. Fairly good sized ones. And I could show you this and stuff like that if I could get this to add up. Let me see if I can't get this. Come on, load. Oh, it's going to load. If you're watching this later on, I'm just going to tell you about this sort of stuff after it's all well, if you're watching this live stream later on after it's basically been up on YouTube. I'm sorry if it took so long to get it up there, but you're getting the idea. Graham Hancock goes into ancient lost civilizations and the ancient technology that was used to basically move these kinds of stones, as well as saying that there are entire civilizations we no longer remember. There are basically only whose attributes and relics and stuff is attributed to later civilizations, because modern academics and modern archaeologists refuse to believe that modern man used anything but brute force and strength to move these stones. And will also basically disparage and say anyone who basically argues their viewpoint is an idiot. Because if you look at the information itself, the information that we have, it makes no sense that mankind was able to build these gigantic structures with just ordinary technology that they would have back then. Even now, there's basically no chance we could build such structures because the stones are so huge, especially with what I talked about with the stones that are bigger than the ones that were used in Egypt to build the Great Pyramid. Those stones I can buy that were moved by humans with just maybe logs and rope. Other such structures basically pretty much disprove the fact that they were built at all. But though there is other things too. During the it looks like my thing is loading up, so this is good. I'll be able to show you some information on ancient civilizations. So this is good. Oh, what's this? It is loaded up. As I've said, a lot of these structures and stones, there's no way that could be possibly been built by the way these people have said they were built. It looks like they were built by ancient civilizations using some lost technology that we hardly understand. Let's get into this article. Lost civilizations, forgotten civilizations, and basically clues to the past. Looking for clues to a past unknown. It is often said in history that we look into the past so that future generations will not repeat the same mistakes of our forebears. Basically, this is going to the information and stuff that we're going to look for. I wanted to look at more of Graham Hancock's stuff, but I'm sure he's going to be mentioned in this article. I'm sorry if my live stream is not the best tonight and stuff like that. The same mistakes for our forebears. There, yeah, yeah. Although there is indeed much more to the study of history than a survey of humankind's failings. Nothing about the ancient past fascinates the modern mind quite like the allure of lost civilizations. Numerous examples of magnificent, even advanced groups alleged to have existed in ancient times have echoed throughout time as curiosities and I'm having trouble pronouncing this word and curiosities that past scholars to understand. I might have to I'm gonna have to skip that word. This is a curiosities that past scholars to understand if the technological prowess we possess today might not be something that once existed, if only for a time thousands of years ago. More often than not, evidence for advanced civilizations in ancient times has fallen short. Nevertheless, the quest for lost cities and regions of the world forgotten by time is in itself a fascinating endeavor. Yeah. All right. Back in June, a team of British archaeologists uncovered the remnants of one such lost city located in Hilaria, Ethiopia. Harley, located in. The century site featured an ancient mosque along with evidence of Islamic burials, headstones. It is reported that the ancient city site was once believed to be the home of giants, the home of such things, huh? To be home of monsters, to be their home, huh? To be the home. All right. However, perhaps one of the most intriguing discoveries at the site had been instances of pottery from other regions, including China and Yemen, as well as ancient Egyptian currencies, all of which points to a broader network of trade between these early. Yeah. There's another thing that Graham Hancock likes to say. He says that at least there's evidence pointing to it nowadays that a lot of these ancient civilizations actually had trade worldwide with each other. There was actually a worldwide trading going on, and these groups actually interbred and married with each other from DNA alone. They say that. Well, to some extent, I'm not quite sure about how much it did actually happen between these early groups that once thought. It is the discovery of such locations, the new information about early peoples that they bring, which fascinates us about the ancient world. However, much of our fascination with the past has to do with with those things which remain mysterious, fueling speculation about lost cities or even civilizations that may have once existed and suddenly fell on the hands of ancient cataclysms. Atlantis, the preeminent lost civilization of yore. Of lost civilization of the ancient world, Atlantis remains a mystery. Atlantis remains a mystery to modern scholars, if not for the question of whether or not it existed, then at least as a question of what precisely Plato meant by Atlantis. Plato was describing when he wrote about it. All we know of Atlantis in modern times is based on the fragmentary documents. Citrus, though Atlantis is briefly introduced in Plato's Timaeus, here Plato discusses Atlantis as a massive island, or continent, where ancient kings once reigned during a period some 9,000 years in advance of the reign of Citrus. Authoring, huh? All right. Plato describes a war which occurred in the ancient past at the Strait of Gibraltar between groups Huron and those hailing from beyond the Pillars of Hercules. Atlantis. Between groups Huron and those hailing from beyond the Pillars of Hercules. Said the rulers of Atlantis were in possession of Hercules. It was said that the rulers of Atlantis were in possession of the land within the Pillars of Hercules, which is equate to modern day Libya. To modern day. Libya all the way to Egypt. Within were subject to servitude. All the way to Egypt and should I try pronouncing that word, folks, or not? All the way to Egypt. And all dwelling within were subjected to servitude. Well, that means that this civilization spread all the way from the Pillars of Hercules, from which equates to a good part of the Middle East all the way to Egypt, and all were dwelling were basically their servants. Subject to servitude, Athens waged war against the Atlanteans in an effort to liberate the people being subject to slavery throughout the region. Scholars widely believe that the reference to Atlantis were allegorical rather than rich detailing. Scholars believe of an ancient civilization engaged in conquest and warfare thousands of years ago. Some debate remains as to whether there had indeed been a real-life inspiration upon which Plato might have based the legend. Theories often involve the volcanic destruction of the ancient Thera, the Santorini Islands as they are known today, and the widespread destruction resulting from the event, which occurred around 1540 BCE. Göbekli Tepe. There is perhaps no site that has quite managed to invigorate the debate over the skill and advancement of ancient people than Göbekli Tepe, located in Turkey's Anatolia. The site came into existence approximately 11,500 years ago, which places its creation during a period in which it was largely been assumed that, mankind couldn't possibly have made it. Humans were nomadic hunter-gatherers. In contrast to this long-held notion, Göbekli Tepe clearly displays stone workmanship, architectural prowess, and general artistry that far exceeds anything of similar antiquity. This is part led Klaus Schmidt, the German archaeologist who led digs at the site between the mid-1990s and up till his death in 2014 to believe the site held ceremonial significance and that its mountaintop, location served as a sanctuary rather than an actual settlement site. Let's see, is this back up? Let me check over here. It doesn't look like it. I was trying to get this. My internet seems to be wonky tonight, so excuse me about this. This is all about Graham Hancock we're talking tonight, and basically his theories on ancient civilization and stuff like that. We're looking at this article because, this has a lot to do with what he talks about. Apart from its impressive age, Göbekli Tepe has offered plenty of else in the way of controversy. Most recently, it was reported that evidence of ancient Neolithic skull cult, been found during excavations. Alternative researchers like Graham Hancock have asserted that Göbekli Tepe may offer evidence for technological knowledge that existed long ago. While not directly insinuating a connection to the mythical Atlantis, Hancock does speculate that Göbekli Tepe could be evidence for the existence of an earlier group whose knowledge is perhaps evidenced in the site's architecture and symbolism. Earlier this year, a study carried out by researcher Martin Switman of the University of Edinburgh School of Engineering. You can see that Graham Hancock pretty much said that it's not Atlantis, but there's an ancient civilization that existed before anything we know about, and most likely a lot of evidence we have nowadays points to that this civilization was international, and that there was trade and basically commerce all over the planet going on, which looks like it could be true. Earlier this year, researcher of the University of Edinburgh School of Engineering persisted that the carvings and stone slabs which are prominent at Göbekli Tepe could actually show that there was actually a meteor strike. Might represent a sort of an extraterrestrial impact that occurred around 11,000 BC. The study was featured in the Journal of Mediterranean Archaeology. Okay. Lost cities and forgotten civilizations aren't relegated exclusively to the old world. During the earlier part of the last century, one of the fabled lost metropolises to have captured the imagination was said to have existed in the heart of the Amazon jungle, at least if one interpreted explorer is to be believed. British adventurer Percy Fawcett. Hey, folks, if you feel free to leave me a few chats. If you're having trouble doing that, I'm sorry. We're looking at Graham Hancock tonight and his basically theories of lost civilizations and stuff like that. How basically the ancients use more advanced technology than we give them credit for, and that all of this stuff and civilizations basically disappeared when those civilizations basically themselves disappeared. But he says that there is evidence pointing to the fact that the ancients used technology and that a lot of the stuff we attribute to later civilizations were all part of a civilization that existed before or is, thought to have existed. that was far more advanced and stuff like that. That's if you came in and watching the stream right now, folks. Feel free to leave me a few chats and sit back and enjoy yourselves. We're talking about Graham Hancock, at least as much as possible. British adventurer Percy Fawcett was already famous for lost cities and forgotten civilizations are regulated exclusively to the old world. Early part of the last century, one of the fabled lost metropolises, otherwise known as, let me see here, the city of Troy, to have captured the imagination, was said to have existed. Well, no, I guess they're not talking about the city of Troy. It's said to have existed in the heart of the Amazon jungle, at least if one interpreted explorers to be believed. Okay, so yeah, they're not talking about Troy here. Sorry about that, folks. But yeah, we'll get into that maybe a little bit. Let's go look at this. Adventurer Percy here was already famous for his exploits in the Amazon jungle by the time he launched what would be his final expedition, search of a fabled city he called Z. Location, as Fawcett claimed to believe, was a supposed city that had existed at one time in the jungles around Brazil. Well, it was unclear whether the civilization, jungles around, it was rather unclear. Yeah, whether the civilization still existed, Fawcett at least hoped to find evidence of it. Based on his readings of an unusual document in the National Library at Rio de Janeiro, National Library, came to be known as Manuscript 512. This is a document that was supposedly authored by Portuguese fortune hunter. Should I even try to read his name, folks? I think I'm going to skip it. Chronicling part of his journeys through the region in 1753 in the manuscript De Silvia describes a ruined city, ancient city, featuring a number of marvelous architectural elements as well as mysterious hieroglyphics. However, no distinct location for this alleged site was given. Fawcett's search for the lost city of the Amazon were hindered by the outbreak of World War I. In 1925, the explorer set out in a small party of 3 individuals, including his son, all of whom vanished and were believed to have died in pursuit of the lost city of Z. Fawcett's perilous quest to find evidence of a lost civilization, heart of the Amazon, was chronicled. Journalist David Grant, in his book, The Lost City of Z, was subsequently made into the film of the same name. The allure of civilizations that might have come and gone, forgotten by time, was enough to give men like that and countless others before him and after drive men like that and countless others before them to their deaths, to their ends and stuff. A search for many became an obsession. In the past, always drives hard bargains when it comes to giving up her mysteries. Hence, much of the ancient narrative involving humanity's past is obscure to us today. There's that too, but as I said, there's also, the city of, maybe I should go do this first. Before I basically go into the city. There's the city of Troy that was found by an archaeologist. The actual city of Troy, up to that point, was thought to be a myth. But then they actually found the city and all the ancient artifacts. So that basically points to the fact that people who said about the Trojan Wars being myths and legends, basically proving them that they were wrong on that. And that, in fact, the Trojan Wars did in fact happen. If you don't know what the Trojan Wars was, the city of Troy basically kidnapped the queen of another country because the king of Troy basically fell in love with her, and he took her back to his city. Let's see. Greece basically declared war on Troy, and for years they warred until Troy was finally destroyed by Greece, and at the end of the war, and basically saying that at the end of the war, and basically making that civilization into nothing more than just a legend. But they found evidence of it. They found the actual city, in which was discovered, proving that you can't say that myths and legends aren't real. That they really do come from a truth that happened long ago. So there's that to consider as well, folks. So that's all very good and very interesting. Makes you think what it could actually exist. Let's see if I can't find it. The history of human ancestry and migrations may be far more complex than we realize. There's that too. Graham Hancock also has gone into basically using the drug ayahuasca as well as DMT and stuff like that to basically expand your mind. He says that he himself has said that he's encountered maybe non-human intelligences when he has been on the drug. He doesn't say that they were real and stuff like that. To him, he says they are real. To him, they are real. But he says that he has no way to prove it and stuff like that. But to say that these drugs are good, these mind-altering drugs are good for you, and that they help, expand and basically improve your mind, which I can say that is a good idea to do. But I'm not saying that go out and do drugs or any kind of drugs. If you want to do that, that's up to you. You should not. Well, you should not, because you should basically learn as much as you can before doing such things. And if at best, I am not advocating for drug use at all. So do not get that idea into your head. I'm just saying that for him, he says it's a good idea. And I say, if you want to do it, it's a good idea for you. But do not do it. Do not take my opinion on this. My opinion is that you need to learn as much as possible for you to do such things. And I do not actually say that drug use is good for you. What do ancient texts tell us about cataclysms? What do ancient texts tell us about that? Let's take a look at this. Let's see if I can get this article to come up, hopefully. We talk about Graham Hancock, and he thinks that Atlantis also exists as well, at least to a civilization that could be considered to be Atlantis, which could very well be the truth of that as well, folks. And they had more advanced technology, so advanced that some of this technology might have be extraterrestrial in origin. Okay, let's look at this article. From the intricate monuments and cities that once covered the ancient Indus valleys to the weathered steeps of Central Asia and much further beyond, the ruined vine-decorated temples of South America, which remnants of the ancient world have long remained among our most fascinating treasures. The ancient past has long kept many mysteries, some of which we possess at least a degree of knowledge here in modern times. Among these are the notions of ancient cataclysms of truly epic proportions, which seem to suggest there was more great chance of our planet there was more great change on our planet in ancient times than history has said. History has managed to yet account for. Some of the most famous examples of epic epic disasters, mysteries from times long past, comes to us in the retellings of found in documents from antiquity. For instance, Plato's dialogues Citrus, a text which only incomplete portions of exist today, is famous among both historians and alternative scholars alike for its description of the fabled island kingdom of Atlantis, or continent. Cities Citrus divulges the following mythic Atlantean kingdom cities, and its war with those further inland. Let me begin by observing, first of all, that 9,000 was the sum of years which was elapsed since the war, which was said to have taken place between those who dwelt outside the Pillars of Hercules and all who dwelt within them. This war I am going to describe of the combatants on the other side of the city of Athens was reported to have been the leader and to have fought out the war. The combatants on the other side were commanded by the king of Atlantis, which was an island greater in extent than Libya in Asia, and when afterwards sank by an earthquake, became an impassable barrier of mud to voyagers sailing hence to any part of the ocean. Passage is indeed a curious one, likened to many an actual telling events, while others maintain that its origins had mere thought experiment, never with the intention that its contents should be taken literally. Rather, the truth may be this odd bit of information from the halls of antiquity, a span numerous legends, but the true nature of the lost kingdom of Atlantis, as well as a speculation of its origins and possible existence. Interesting. Perhaps of equal interest, however, is Plato's reference to a war that had transpired 9,000 years prior to his own retelling of the events. This again might only be a brief novel aside and the events this again. Might only be a brief but novel aside. The broader legend, however, is its similarities to stories that appear elsewhere, namely those within ancient Hindu epics. The Mahabharata and Bhagavad Gita also seem to describe ancient battles that were fought not only on an epic scale using weapons possessing tremendous destructive potential. Tremendous, huh? The Mahabharata speaks of instances of a known weapon that destroyed an entire race, which is described thusly. Blazing shaft possessing the effluence of smokeless fire was left off. That was how this weapon was perceived. The consequences of its use also evoke involuntary, basically it sounds like a nuclear weapon. Involuntary associations. This makes the bodies of the dead unidentifiable. The survivors lose their nails and hair, and their food becomes unfit for eating. For several subsequent years, the sun, the stars, and the sky remain shrouded with clouds and bad weather. The weapon, sometimes the weapon of Brahma, flame, was described in the Hindu epics in such a way that the modern mind, many of its characteristics resemble the conception of modern nuclear weapons, the likes of which were developed and first used during when World War II. The Second World War was a single, or should I say WW2? It was a single projectile charged with all the power of the universe, and an incessant column of smoke and flame as bright as 1,000 suns rose in all its splendor. It was an unknown weapon, an iron thunderbolt, a gigantic messenger of death, which reduced to ashes the entire race. The Vaishnavis and the Adahakas would be difficult to build a case around the existence of actual weapons of mass destruction that were utilized in the ancient world. Nevertheless, such descriptions provide fodder for the speculation of ancient alien theorists, as well as the research of alternative historians like Graham Hancock, which suggest the existence of ancient super civilization. Yes, there we go again. With little doubt that there are likely to have been formations of civilization that have come and gone, in which we may possess little knowledge of today. Could they have utilized technologies similar to those in use in the modern world, and perhaps those with equal destructive potential? A more plausible scenario would be hold on that the evidence of epic cataclysms found in texts from antiquity likely represent catastrophic changes occurring on Earth long ago, possibly stemming from any number of different natural sources, from asteroid impact to supernova, or even at cosmic ray jets, as suggested by researcher William Topping, Richard B. here. Their 2001 article, Terrestrial Evidence of a Nuclear Catastrophe in Palladian Times, which the authors related that the entire Great Lakes region and beyond was subjected to particle bombardment and a cataclysmic disaster, cataclysmic nuclear disaster and stuff like that. Sounds cool, doesn't it, folks? What do you think about all of this? Oh, we have people watching us. Please feel free to hit that like button for me if you are, because it helps me fight the algorithm. So the more people that hit that like button, the more people will see my content, and the sooner my graphic novel Scumdogs will come out to you. Please also hit that bell and hit the part of the bell that gives you all future notifications. And please go share this video on Twitter and Facebook. Right now, we're looking at Graham Hancock and his theories of ancient lost super civilizations. Is basically saying that. There was once a great super civilization that basically united the world, that there was international trade and commerce, and that when that civilization fell, it was basically the sinking of Atlantis. Or rather, when that civilization disappeared, it was later remembered as the destruction of Atlantis. So let's get this. Let's see. Secondary thermal neutrons from cosmic ray interactions. From this catastrophe that happened and stuff. Perhaps this can account for the evidence of mass destruction in the ancient world, the likes of which may have compared with the effects of modern warfare, though in likelihood ancient occurrences were of natural origin. And yes, there is a scientific data that helps substantiate such ideas based on geological and other data spanning the last several hundred thousands of years, showing the degree to which wild changes have occurred on our ancient planet. Still, no complete picture seems to have emerged. In truth, we may truly never fully reveal the epic levels of destruction that occurred on this planet since ancient times, though perhaps the persisting question of whether the holy epics and dialogues of antiquity, opposed to being merely folk tales and are actually based on fiction, on factual occurrences that detailed multiple levels of devastation that has occurred on a global scale. Could be, folks. Could very well be. Let's see. We have 4 likes. Not doing too bad. Thank you for that. Let's see. As we're trying to talk about Graham Hancock. So let's see. We're on the Graham Hancock site. I was going to try and find more information on Graham Hancock. I suppose I could use as the Wikipedia page. I don't really like to look at that. I'd rather look at articles. But maybe we should go and do that if I can get it to load up here, folks. Yeah, like that. As I said, we've been talking about Graham Hancock and stuff like that. Graham Hancock, born in 1950, is a British writer and journalist. He's known for his pseudo-scientific theories, involving ancient civilization, earth changes, stone monuments, earth changes, megaliths, altered states of consciousness, ancient myths. Hancock's works propose a connection with a mother culture, which he believes other ancient civilizations sprung. An example in pseudo-history. This is why I don't really like this, folks. This coming from Wikipedia, anyone can basically say all they want about it. Graham Hancock was born in Scotland. He moved with his parents to India at the age of 3. India, where his father worked as a surgeon. Having returned to the UK, he graduated from Durham University in 1973, received a first-class honors degree in sociology. Graham Hancock is married to Sana Fala, is a Malaysian, and she is also a professional photographer specializing in cultures and monuments. Okay. Early career and first books. A journalist, Hancock worked on many British papers such as The Times, The Sunday Times, and The Guardian. He co-edited New International Magazine from 76 to 79 and several as the East Africa correspondent of The Economist. In 1981 to 83, prior to 1990, his books were dealt mainly with problems of economic and social development, such as poverty and hunger. Pseudo-history. Oh, God. I guess we basically have covered his stuff here about his things about ancient civilizations and stuff like that. I like to go into a different article, sponsored on the Society for American. Maybe I should try this. If I can get this article to load here, because I'm not so sure if anything else will do that. We'll take a look at that real quick on Graham Hancock if I can get to load. So we know the guy has been all around the world. He's worked on various other things like poverty and stuff like that, as well as poverty and stuff like that. Maybe I should bring that thing back up again. It was something else, real quick. On social development and with economic and social development, such as poverty. That's what he worked on. Oops. Economic and social development, such as poverty. Now, let's see. Is this... I knew it. But as you see, we've talked about Graham Hancock and it's about him believing that there was once a mother civilization that existed thousands of years before modern civilization has been thought to have first built their first monuments. And he attributes a great many of these great megaliths to this mother civilization, and not to when archaeologists basically say that it happened in a straight line. They say from this there was an ancient civilizations existed. They did this, they did that, and they did like that. There's no other thing that basically they say that happened. They didn't say there was a prior civilization. These civilizations, they do not attribute the great monoliths like ancient, like the Egyptian pyramids or Göbekli Tepe, were built by anyone but by these people that existed during the straight line. And that is why with Göbekli Tepe that basically throws a wrench into it, because it clearly shows with how ancient its structures are when they were built, that they were clearly over 9,000 years old and stuff. Back archaeologists, when scientists say that modern men back then were nothing more than cavemen, and that there was no way they could build something like that. No, Graham Hancock comes out and says, no, this all has to do with our mother civilization that existed prior to the civilizations that have existed and are accepted to have existed. This civilization was international. People traded. They had international commerce and trade. Well, trade and commerce. And they basically interbred or stuff like that, possibly to some extent. And they basically lived until the civilization basically fell. And then once it fell, it basically went into myth and stuff like that. And modern academics say that it never existed. But if you look at what modern academics, how wrong they are, how wrong they can be proven wrong, how often they can be proven wrong, it pretty much points that there probably was something that existed prior to anyone's actual knowledge. This prior civilization had greater technology than anyone gives them credit for, and probably built all this stuff. I mean, I can't basically prove it and stuff like that, but the more I learn about this stuff, the more I think that there was probably a lot of great things that existed before anyone actually knew or could accept. I think there was a good chance that aliens have been visiting us and they have interacted with us. I think mankind was far more advanced in the past than we give them credit for, and that this is all very, very, very well. This is all very. There's just so much to go through to say about this. So much information to be said. So we can see that Graham Hancock works hard. He's basically been ridiculed for his beliefs, or rather basically pointing that actually there is evidence but modern academics refuse, or modern archaeologists refuse to listen and basically say that no. How he says with the great Sphinx, the Sphinx and stuff like that, how it basically shows that it was once most likely covered in water from weathering from thousands of years. How he said it didn't always have a human head on it, that it was originally carved from a lion statue. Others say it was carved from a statue of a dog, like Anubis, the god of the underworld. He doesn't think it was like that, but I see evidence that I think there's a lot of evidence that the Great Sphinx used to be an Anubis statue. Not just a lion statue, though he has his own point of view. But he clearly does agree that the ancient Sphinx and Great Pyramid are far older than anyone gives them credit for. So there's that to say as well. Today's been a pretty good live stream, huh? Too bad I can't get so much information up here. Let me go back over here. Secret of the Druids from Indo-European origins and modern practices. May 21st. I could look at that, but this is more. I was trying to find information on Graham Hancock here. Let me do this. Tales and Events, books, Graham's blog, home. I'm trying to get more information up here for you guys to look at. So maybe I should go back over here. Ancient text, tell us about that. Dragging the Ark of the Covenant, Miss First Story, and far more complex. As you can see, the lot of information we have here goes back quite a ways. I wish I could give you more information on that. I've told you what I know about Graham Hancock, if I've read about it. We can see that he basically says about these ancient civilizations are great and they're cool and stuff like that. I might have to end this live stream a bit earlier tonight. Oh, I can go a bit more. I would like to have been to a few more chats for you, so I could learn your guys' opinions on what has happened in the past. What do you think actually happened? What do you think modern man was far more advanced than we gave him credit for? Do you think he actually had magical or mystical abilities that allowed him to move these great big stones? Or do you think they actually used technology that we don't have today to make and build these great big statues and buildings? What do you think about that? It's very entertaining. I mean, I think that, yeah, we were far more advanced than anyone gives us credit for back then. I think we had this technology. There was a great cataclysm that people remember. They remember the Great Flood, and it destroyed this great civilization. And basically, we only have remnants of that technology, or basically, well, with what people say that actually existed back then. Yeah, I can say that it probably did. It happened like that. But what else can I say? I'm looking into it. It's very, very cool. So there's that to be said. Oh, Vixen Kasha, we have a chat. Mechanical technology, perhaps no electronics, and certainly not electronic computers. Mechanical technology, perhaps, yeah. Could very well be that they use something like steam engines and stuff like that, and basically anything that would have been left is basically decayed to the point where no one can really say that it actually existed. I can believe that as well. No electronics is certainly not no electronic computers. They do say there was a they do say that they found ancient technologies from back then. Basically attribute that they didn't think they could possibly have that kind of technology, clockwork technology and stuff like that. There's very well that could be as well. Vassian Cassie. At least I think I could pronounce her name. Yeah, I think there was probably that they had used more advanced technology than we give them credit for. Something like the steam engine could have existed back then. Yeah. But then again, they could have also gotten this technology from extraterrestrials, or rather, the extraterrestrials helped them build these monuments and mega structures. Yeah, they could very well megaliths build these megaliths. So it could very well be that as well to consider. But thank you for tuning in. This has been one hell of a good live stream. Going to have to basically end my stream soon. So please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read Comics, They're Bad For You. Make sure you're subscribed. Leave some comments down below because I love to hear from you guys. Hit that like button because it helps me fight the algorithm. Because the more people that hit that like button, the more it helps me fight the algorithm, and the more people that will see my content. And that means my graphic novel Scumdogs will come out to you all the sooner. As well as leave some comments down below. I love to hear from you guys. Hit that bell and hit the part of the bell that gives you all future notifications for my videos. And please go share this video on Twitter and Facebook. Also, please go over and subscribe to Stitch Together Picks. Stitch Together Picks is hosted by is a great YouTube channel. You should go and basically subscribe to. You're going to love his reviews of movies. It's hosted by a great host, and you're going to love the character he plays. It's just so much fun to watch his videos. That go and subscribe to Stitch Together Picks, as well as go over and subscribe to Creepy Little Book. Creepy Little Book is like the Art Bell radio show. He does live streams every night. He also releases small videos talking about strangeness. He also does live streams every night. He live streams on weekdays at 12:30 a.m. and on weekends at 10 o'clock p.m. He talks about aliens and ghosts. You learn so much from watching his live streams. They are so good. Go and subscribe to Creepy Little Book. As well as please go and subscribe to my Rumble channel on rumble.com. So go over to rumble.com, search out Scumdog. Go to rumble.com and search out Comic Freak. And then go and subscribe to my channel, Comic Freak. As well as go over to BitChute.com and subscribe to my BitChute channel. The name of my BitChute channel is named Comic Freak. Go and subscribe to me. Go and subscribe to my BitChute channel, Comic Freak. All right. Well, where's this else to say? Yeah. Anything else? Yeah. Also, please go and remember, I'll be back again tomorrow around 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, or maybe 8 or 11 o'clock p.m. for another live stream. Be sure to come back again and check out my live stream then. We had a good one tonight. Remember, folks, I'm Chris Williams from, I guess I can got a few minutes left. I guess I could end it now. All right. I'm going to thank you all for joining me. Remember, folks, I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me.